is about having empathy for your first child. And that is probably, when you have empathy, you can then help to understand all the emotions that that child is having. And the brilliant story that she shares is, imagine that you are with your partner, with your husband or your wife, your partner, and you are blissfully happy. You're just so happy and so in love. And one day, out of the blue, your partner says, I just love being, I love you so much, I'm going to get another partner. And you feel like, huh? And so instinctively, you feel, I'm not enough. I have to do more. I have to try harder. And the crazy thing is that everybody around is super excited about another partner joining the family. And obviously, you know, as adults, you can rationalize and you can say, oh, you know, it's not even legal, you know, but as a child, and you're shocked that everybody thinks it's a great idea and everyone thinks it's lovely. And then things like, oh, you're going to love the new partner's going to come and you're going to have so much fun together. And so that's really the crux of what your first child is possibly feeling. And then, you know, it moves on that, you know, you've had this build up where the new partner is coming, and then the new partner arrives, and suddenly your partner is just almost 90% of the time, when they would have been with you, is now with this new partner. And the new partner's not behaving particularly well, but is getting lots of cuddles and lots of affection and lots of attention. And, you know, people in your family that you trust and that you love, for example, parents, grandparents, keep coming up and saying, oh, isn't the new partner cute? Isn't the new partner lovely? There's tissues on the table, there we go. And so that's really how it goes. And then you get to the point where your partner says to you, oh, I'm going to give your old clothes and your old things that you don't really use anymore or that don't fit you anymore to the new partner. And, you know, some of those clothes you love that jumper because it feels really nice and it's really soft. And what about that toy? You know I haven't played for it for a long time, but it's one of my favorite toys. And it kind of, you know, builds up from there. And so even things where they seem to be going on every so often, something will spike that will remind them that I was here first. I'm not enough. And even things like the partner says to you, oh, we're going to have a special day together, just you and me, and we'll leave the other partner at home, and it's just us. And you're like, oh, amazing, wonderful, we can reconnect, we can have a wonderful day together. And then you have this wonderful day and your partner says, oh, I really want to get you something special. Maybe it's your birthday, I'll get you something special for your birthday. And you go to the shop, and maybe, I'm just using imagination here, maybe the partner buys you a brand new iPhone, for example, and you're like, oh, yes, I got my new iPhone, I'm so happy, it's all so great. And then you get home, and then the new partner comes running up, hi, did you have a nice time, what did you get? I got an iPhone. Oh, can I touch it? Can I see it? And you're like, no, it's mine. And then it becomes, no, show it, share your phone with it. And then you're like, it's mine, I don't want to share it, it's my special thing. So that's the empathy that we really need for the first or the second, whichever one's the last one before the new one coming in. And all of that is completely natural. It's human instinct to be like that. And so we have to make sure that when we're communicating with the children, we're not blaming them for these feelings, and that they're not bad, they're not naughty, they're not different from any other child coming in. You do have, rare occasion, you do have people, you might see them on Facebook or Instagram, where, yay, the new baby's here, can I hold it, da, 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 da. And you see that kind of perfect setting, and it's always, you know, what you imagine it will look like and the reality of what it looks like. And yes, that does happen, but it's very rare. It's very rare that you'll get a child who'll go, yeah, I'm so excited, we're going to have a new sibling. I don't know, we were discussing before, like, is it gender? Is it more likely that a girl would welcome a baby boy or a boy would welcome a baby girl, or equal, I want another brother or whatever? Or is it the distance of age? So a 7-year-old welcoming a newborn is probably a little bit easier because they're going off to school with friends and they're more likely to be distancing anyway from mum, and they're happy that mum's got something else to occupy her. Or, you know, they're very close together, so they don't actually remember the time when it was just them and mum or dad. It was closer together. So it is really, really normal. And then also I think we have to recognize the impact that it can have on the families, and the recognition that we are all normal, as it were. So here we have some tips for welcoming a new baby, and we've got 2 lovely babies with us. So the key thing is to be very honest with the child, the second child. I remember my son was actually quite excited about the baby coming out, and he was 3.5 when my daughter was born, and he came to the hospital and he was a bit like, oh wow, oh yeah, wow, it's really here. And it took him about 2 weeks, and obviously after 2 weeks, that's when you're like absolutely exhausted and drained, and he just looked at me and he went, when's it going back? So, and I had done the full, you know, I had fully prepared, but yeah, I got that, when's it going back? And then it really struck when I said, no, she doesn't go back. Thank you. She's here, she's part of our family. And that realization of then he got it, like, forever. And I was like, forever. So yeah, that was, so it took about 2 weeks for it to click what that actually meant for my son. So these are just a few ideas, using reality of like, okay, before the baby comes, I need to let you know that babies take a lot of time. We will still have our special time together. That's what they want. They want reassurance that, yes, they're going to see less of you or have less of you, but you will still have me and we'll still have our special time together. And be honest and say, you know, because I'm with the baby doesn't mean I love you less, because I think that's the number one thing in their brain. And sometimes we don't want to say it because we're thinking, oh, maybe they haven't thought that. Maybe they haven't thought that I love them less. And then if I say I don't love you less, maybe they'll then think, but they won't. I'm almost certain that they do think I'm not enough. Mum needs another baby to have me. So that's a reassuring thing of like, no, you're still my special number one, or something like that. Give them big sibling roles, but not necessarily responsibility, because sometimes we automatically think they want to be the big sister or the big brother and take on the role of that, but take on the responsibility. So, oh, you can help me when I need to change the nappy. You can help me when I need to help the baby get to sleep. And sometimes they then regress, because then they want to be the baby. They want to get the attention. And so you can give them the role because they are that person. They are the big sister or the big brother, but you don't necessarily need to give them the responsibility that goes with it, unless they want it, unless they actually want it. And then try to protect their feelings. So if someone says, if you can see that they're getting really upset about something, which this is what I should have done to my son before he said, when is she going back? I should have then turned around and said, oh, I bet you wish we could go back to a time before baby. And, you know, what would that look like? What would you like us to do if baby wasn't here? And then try to then do that, you know, at another time. Oh, we can still do that. We can spend that time together. We can go to your special place and play or eat something yummy. Because what we don't want is we don't want the child to think, oh, now the baby's here, I can't enjoy this. Now the baby's here, I can't do this with mummy. So saying, oh, if the baby wasn't here, what would you like to do? And then try to create a time or a space where you can do that thing. So, no, baby's here, but we can still do that. We can, there's a big cough. And then recognize what the feelings that the children have. So recognizing that, you know, if you're feeding your baby, and I remember my son, I used to feed baby, and he'd come in and say, Mum, look at this. And my daughter was quite sensitive. And so if she got disturbed while she was feeding, it was kind of like she'd stop feeding and she was like, what's going on? So I created this, like, don't talk, don't speak, don't do anything, she's feeding. So sometimes perfect cue, there we go, perfect. Exactly. So it became like, oh, Mum's feeding, and then my son would be like, again? And, you know, we had to be quiet again. And so it's recognizing, like, I know it's really frustrating for you. I can see that you're not happy when I'm feeding baby again. And she's taking a lot of time, isn't she? And then it becomes almost like you're a team, and you're going to support me, you're going to help me. Because, you know, it's frustrating for you, but it's also time consuming for me. And so you have that alliance rather than, can you just wait until I finished? Can you just try and, you know, go and read a book until I've finished? And then the child's like, okay, fine, again, Mummy's reading. So it's validating the feelings that the child has of having to be second because you're feeding, you're changing, you're trying to get them to go to sleep. So I think one of the things as they start getting a little bit older is recognizing the comparisons and saying things like, so baby's eating all their food, why aren't you eating your food? Baby's being really quiet, why aren't you quiet? So make it, that will, once you start doing that, then it becomes like, and it's basically, you know, if your partner said, well, the new partner seems to really like this dish, why don't you like it? Then you're like, you know, I don't like chicken or whatever, you know, so it becomes that kind of extra layer of division between you and them, and then them and the new baby or the new child. And so it's really important from that time that you try to give pockets of attention to the child. So yes, you're regularly feeding, yes, you're changing, yes, you're feeding. I mean, it's a full-time job looking after a baby, but it's also, okay, I've got to find ample time where I'm not with the baby, not holding the baby. The baby's actually not connected to me, but I can spend some quality time with the child. And research shows that 15 minutes is sufficient to alleviate anxiety. And the key thing with the 15 minutes though is it has to be at the right time, or the same time every day, which can be difficult. And this is the minimum. And it's something that the children rely on. So I always kind of, whenever I share this, I always kind of compare it to, imagine you're in a busy working situation and you're at work and you've got a lot of things to do and you've got things to check and you're really busy and you've got ideas and you've got things that you want to share, and you can see your boss kind of walking around and you're like, oh, can I just grab you can I show you something? Can you just tell me what you think about? Oh. And they're, yeah, I'll be back in a minute. Yeah, I'll get you in a minute. Yeah, I'll be back. Just give me 5 minutes and I'm yours, you know, and there's that continuous thing. Whereas if you knew that every day at 3 o'clock, your boss was going to sit with you for 15 minutes, you wouldn't even bother to look up. You would write down everything you wanted to remember to ask. You'd have it all prepared. And then even if you've got nothing to show them, but they just come and sit down and say, how are you? What's happening? What's going on? You would rely on that 15 minutes and it becomes like a a relaxation tool, because you know you can share anything, you have that one-to-one time, and it's exactly the same feeling for children. The key thing is, though, it has to be consistent, and it doesn't happen overnight. They have to know that they can rely on you being there every single day for 15 minutes. Obviously, if you go away or if something comes up, but then again, you acknowledge, you can acknowledge that, tomorrow we've got to go to this party, or tomorrow we've got to do this thing. We're going to miss our meeting. We're going to miss our 15 minutes. So we could do double today or double the next day, or we could just make up another time. But you have to acknowledge it. You can't just disappear, because again, if you're sitting waiting for that 15 minutes and the boss doesn't come in the room and hasn't explained it to you, you would be like, oh, where's it gone? So it's having that in your mind. And then you can grab extra minutes. Like if you can get an extra 5 minutes here or 5 minutes here, and just acknowledge. The key thing to acknowledge is to kind of point it out to your child, like, oh, it's so nice that we can grab these 5 minutes, just you and me, to read a story. Because at the end of the day, they think they haven't seen you. They feel like they haven't had any time with you. So every time you do sit down with them, reiterate and tell them, oh, I really love sitting drawing with you. I'm so glad we got this time while baby was asleep. And then again, they're not going to say, oh yes, thank you so much, mother. I really appreciate it. They're not going to do that, but they will process what you're saying, and they will acknowledge. And then it's like, okay, we'll sit together again later. And making sure that you've got that fixed 15 minutes, but you've also got maybe little pockets of 5 minutes here and there. And when they know that they're regularly going to get these things, it reduces so much anxiety for them. Because if they don't know when the next time they're going to sit with you, that's when the attention seeking really comes up. And they're like, is it now? Can I see her now? Can I see her now? Oh, no, baby's feeding. Am I going to get, no. Oh, yeah. And it's that constant, almost a bit nervousness for them, because they're desperately trying. And then that's when they start being really hungry when you sit down to feed. Mum, I'm so hungry. Or that's when they accidentally fall over, don't really hurt themselves, but it's so painful. And it's just anything to get your attention. And it's really hard if you're feeding and, you've got to okay, I know you're really hungry, but you just ate 20 minutes ago. And you can't say you're not hungry, you're not thirsty, you're not in pain, because that just deletes their feelings. So it's recognizing what you can do to kind of alleviate that before it happens. And that's when the 15 minutes and then the snippets of time can come in and really support that. So other than obviously holding the baby, the other thing to really try not to do is to do your phone in front of children, because again, it's just an extra barrier between them and you. And so, if I know it's difficult, but if possible, like when you are sitting with your child, phone is away. When you are talking or with your child, if possible, you can announce it. There you go, announce to the room, even if you're on your own, or just perhaps fake call and just say, no, I'm sorry, I can't talk to you now. It's like my son Oliver's turn. I have to spend 15 minutes with Oliver. Because again, you're not talking to them, but they're in earshot. So you could, like I'd say to my husband, no, sorry, I have to spend 15 minutes with Oliver now. You have to deal with that by yourself. Tell the baby I'm busy with Oliver. And that does so much for their ego. That does so much for their self-worth that, yeah, it's my time. And they feel like they're noticed. They get that attention. So even if there's no one there for you to talk to, obviously you can't talk to yourself, but you can fake a call and just say, yeah, sorry, I can't talk to you right now. I have to go and spend 15 minutes with Oliver or whatever. Oh, yeah, I'll find out. Okay, it's you and me. Let's do this. Because again, then they feel that connection. The next part, oh yes, and one other thing is, when you're doing the 15 minutes, I mean, I know you've got a lot on your plate, but if you can pre-plan some activities, whether it's a sticker book or a new book or colouring or Play-Doh or something that they haven't necessarily been doing for the last 2 hours or whatever, but it's something different. And you can say, oh, I got this new book, or oh, I got these stickers. Do you want to have a look? We could do it together. Rather than asking them, what do you want to do? Because if you say, what do you want to do? It's a lot like saying, I have no idea what you want from me, so you tell me. And they're little. Whereas if you say, oh, I've got this idea, they might not want to follow your idea, but if you come with ideas, they feel like you've thought about it and you've connected. Again, it's subconscious, it's the processing side of it. It's like, for example, how many times have you had this conversation? What do you want for dinner? You know, like every day, that is the, I don't know about you, maybe you're very planned with your meal planning, but I'm not. And how many times do we sit at home and I'll say, what do you want for dinner? And my husband will go, I don't know, you choose. I'm easy, I'll have anything. And I just don't want to make a decision. Can you make a decision? No, honestly, because whatever I choose, you won't want, so you choose. And then we spend half an hour and in the end it's beans on toast or something like that. You know, like, it's exactly the same, even with children. Like I hear a lot of parents say to children, what do you want for dinner? And children cannot make that. Like, it's too big a question. You can say, oh, we've got chicken, do you want broccoli or peas? So you give them like a choice, which is good. But if you're giving them that mammoth, never-ending question of what do you want for dinner, it's exactly the same. What do you want to play with? What book do you want to read? Whereas if you have 3 books and you say, which one do you want to read first? It's a quick decision for them. And there's not really a big repercussion. So yeah, just try to have a couple of things. For the older children, I would suggest that you pick out with them, you could say, okay, let's think together 10 things that we can do, just you and me, and write them down. And then say, okay, what ones do you really, really want to do? And what ones do you think, they're good? And then you kind of prioritize them. And it's like a discussion together. And then the next time you have your 15 minutes, you pull out something they've already chosen that they want to do. Maybe they want to do colouring or sticking, or maybe they want to go for a colour walk, or something that's just you and them. So you're involving them in that discussion, but you're not giving them a piece of pen and paper and going, write down 10 things we'll do. It has to be like, oh, I really enjoy colouring with pastel crayons, for example. Do you like that? And they go, no, I like paint. Okay, so if we write down crayons and we write down paint, and then it becomes something you enjoy together. So having a bit of pre-planning is perfect. Okay, letting them help, which we just talked about before, but only if they want to. And I like the phrase, the key is choice, not obligation. Oh, because you're the older brother, you have to help me. It's, can you help me? I always remember this one with my son would not help with any tasks. Can you get me a nappy? Like he was a teenager when he was 4. And so I'd say, oh, Vian, please, or Oliver, please, can you get me a, and he'd be like, and he would go over and he'd like, and then come back. And then I'd go, thank you so much. And he'd be like, it's okay. You know, next time you can put it next to you. I had to get moral. But when I did say to him, can you sing a song? Because when you're singing, your sister behaves better while I'm changing the nappy. So I had Spider-Man theme tune for the longest time. Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. And it kept him busy because he used to like singing it, but then it also helped with, the connection, like, Mum, do you need me to sing? So yeah, he enjoyed that part. He wouldn't go and get me a nappy on the other side of the room, but he would stand there and sing Spider-Man theme tune for a long time. So I would say to him things like, oh, your sister really likes hearing you sing. And he'd be like, yeah, I know, I'm a good singer. There goes the ego. But anyway, no, it's giving them choices of what would they like to do if they're wanting to do something. And then you can say things like, oh, I'm feeding the baby at the moment. Would you like me to read you a story now? Or would you like me to read you a story after I've finished? Because again, it's, a lot of parents think, oh, I have to do both. I have to show that I have time for both. But it is really difficult, especially when the teeth come in. And then, you're yeah, and then once upon a time, it is really hard. So you're not reading to your best, you're not giving your full attention, and then it's like, okay, I'll read it by myself. And then you feel bad because you've tried, but you failed, and So, it's recognizing that do you want to do this while I'm reading, or would you prefer to wait later and we can still do the same activity? I think a lot of the times, this number 7 is very much about you have to gauge this of how safe you feel your older one is with the younger one. I remember one time my daughter, who was probably less than a month, was in her cot having a nap, and I heard my son go upstairs, and I had the alarm on in the bed, and I was like, okay, I've got to just let them, I want to see what he does, but I have to be near. So I kind of followed, but listening. And he climbed up and he got in the cot with her, exactly. And I was just like, oh, and I'm waiting. And he basically introduced himself, and it was so, and then of course I'm sobbing. And he said, I'm your brother. And I know Spider-Man. And I was like, ooh. And then he said, when you've got teeth, you can be Spider-Girl. And then he got out of the cot and went away. And I was like, oh, that's perfect. That shows him actually connecting and having a relationship with her without an adult, without me going, be nice, be careful, be gentle, and him actually stepping in. And he was very gentle and he was very lovely. So just being aware of what you feel safe with, but allowing them some space, because, I think he really connected with her over that very short Spider-Man conversation. And I think they need that. They need time to be able to connect without adults getting ready to jump in. Feet are very interesting. I often said to my son, you can hold her feet. Don't tickle them because that's annoying, but hold her feet, hold her hand. I think once he was holding her and he's like, I don't like it. I was like, okay, that responsibility of holding a whole baby in your arms. He's like, well, no, I don't like it. Then that was that. But he would sit and hold her foot while we watched TV. And he'd sit and hold her hand if we were in the car or the taxi, even though they didn't like each other, or he didn't like her initially, but he would still hold her hand, or he'd still hold her foot. And I remember one time when she was about 2 and he was about 5, and they were that was a very difficult time, because when she started moving, that also, because then she's touching his toys, that was a big thing. And she thinks it's really nice because she gets a big reaction from her brother when she touches it. He's like, no, that's mine. And then she'd be like, that's so exciting that you just said that. So she's doing it. But then it was very interesting when we were out and it was pouring with rain, and he got the umbrella out of the bag and he put it over her. Oh, that was just lovely. And I didn't ask him to. I was completely soaked, but he had it over her, which was really lovely. So that gave me hope that there was something there. So I think there is this kind of instinctive, I'm your older sibling, I will protect you. But there's also that you're really annoying and you just take mum away from me or whatever. So it's capturing, nurturing and appreciating those snippets so that you can then, say, oh, thank you for holding the umbrella over your sister. That was a really nice thing that you did. It's not a celebration. It's not, yay, look what you did. That's amazing. It's something that should naturally happen. So, but acknowledgement is important. Number 8, planning for social gatherings. This is really, really important. I can't stress how important this is. When you meet particularly grandparents, it's really important that you ask them, if possible, to spend at least the first 15 to 20 minutes just with the older child. Because of course they want to see the baby, they want to see the new cute partner, But if you can say to them, like, especially the first year, please, 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 really make a fuss, because that the firstborn, or even the first and the secondborn, if a third one comes along, they're so used to grandparents completely lighting up when they see them. And they're so used to that, wow, and that really focused attention on them. And suddenly it's on the other child, the new partner, the new baby. So they still need to feel that. After 10, 15, 20 minutes, when they've kind of had their fill initially of grandma, grandpa, whatever, then they can turn around and say, so, you want to show me your sister? You want to show me your brother? And say, wow, she's really tiny, what can she do? And almost ask the child for an introduction. Tell me what your sister can do. I'm like, oh, eat, poo, sleep, that's it. Really? You can play? No? Oh, wow. And then, you know, after about half an hour, then they get to cuddle, then they get to coo, then they get to, but that's after they've finished all the other bits. So that, I would say, if you can do it, is really, really important. If you go to a social gathering, like, please, please, please make a fuss of them before you make a fuss of this little one. And then again, similarly to the 15 minutes and talking and announcing it, if you can talk to the grandparents or the aunties and uncles or whoever about the older sibling. So for example, I would say to my mum, oh, Oliver's been amazing. Oliver's been so helpful. Oliver sings really nicely to Emily. And not to him, but about him, so he can hear. And then you can see, he just sits there going, you know, and he feels full. He's got that acknowledgement. And then, you know, grandma will go, oh, wow, mum told me, that's really great. Thank you, blah, blah, blah. Again, it's just little top tips that, you know, if they are acknowledged, they feel more. And then when they feel more, there's less attention seeking, there's less separation. Gentle but firm limits. So this kind of comes a little bit later. They forget, I give them the benefit of the doubt, they forget how strong they can be, and they like to play. And especially once they start school or they start socializing, they think everyone's their strength level. So they're used to playing at a certain level of strength. And then when they play with their younger sibling, they cause pain, it hurts. You know, they push and the junk is flying. And that's, yeah, it happens, but it has to be kind of like acknowledging if it's an accident. Okay, I appreciate it's an accident. So in future, let's try and be more careful. Or is it a kind of a real push or a shove because they're annoyed or they're angry or they're jealous? And then that's where you have to really step in with very firm boundaries. It's not okay to hit your sister, and I will not let you hit your sister. We can talk, you can do this, but you have to have that firm boundary. And likewise, toys, throwing things, because that often, they know they can't hit the sister, but they can throw the sister's teddy bears, or they can, I remember my son cut my daughter's doll's hair. And then, yeah, she was so upset, and he's sitting there going, loving it. He absolutely loved it. He still thinks about that now, and he's 21. He goes, I remember when I cut the hair. And my daughter now is 17. She goes, I remember when you cut Titus's hair. And so it's still a thing. Okay, so these kind of 9 tips are kind of like your basics, I want to say, of just having an awareness of what is connecting, and then recognizing that. I think the final part really is, apart from the relationship with you and your younger, the firstborn or first and secondborn, but it's also recognizing your role. So you are a different person. So when you're a mum of one or a dad of one, you parent differently to how you parent as with 2 and 3. So you've changed since the second one came along. You've changed since the third one came along. you're a different wife, you're a different mother, and you have to work out who you are as well. And so your child as well will change from being an only child to being the firstborn. And they have to understand all these new emotions, and they have to recognize all that change. So it takes a lot of time and a lot of patience and a lot of just being open with each other to understand who you are, who they are, and recognizing the changes and the differences that happen. And it does take time. It's not just like, oh yeah, I know who I am as a mum of two. No, that doesn't happen. And I think the key thing is leaning on your partner, because I think sometimes it can be very difficult when you're coming to terms with who you are as a mum of two or a mum of three, and the expectations that society gives you of like, hey, you can be super mum and get it all done and blah, blah, blah. But sharing with each other, like being a team, because happy children, they come when they see parents laughing together and dancing together and really having fun together. That makes children feel secure. And so that has to continue. Whereas I think a lot of times, perhaps, maybe I'm just reflecting on me, but a lot of times it becomes, once there's two, of like, well, I did this and this and this, and you haven't done anything. And it becomes a measurement of who's worked the hardest today, who's done the most. And I think that's one of the things that the children notice, that they become a chore. That like, well, I've done this, so can you just take him out? And then I'm a chore, rather than, oh, lucky you get to go out with so-and-so. I really want to, but I've got to stay behind and feed the baby, da, 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 da. So trying to just rephrase everything, but making sure that you and your partner are on a really strong footing as a team. Like, we are a team, and we have to come together.